One week, this guy's feed decided he wanted chickens. He had never once searched for chickens in his life. And 6 weeks later, he was building a coop in his backyard. It's funny, until you notice the exact same thing happening with jobs. With moving. With a breakup you hadn't had yet. With a diagnosis. The feed changes first. Your life changes second. Not after you decide. Before you've decided anything at all. Now, you could call that one creepy coincidence. Except your feed isn't a mirror of who you are. It's a prediction of who you'll be. And it isn't just happening to you. It's happening to everyone, quietly, at once. So I spent weeks trying to do one simple thing. Work out how the feed knew, before I did. And almost immediately, I found something that shouldn't be possible. It isn't reacting to what you did. It's predicting what you'll do from millions of people who already behave exactly like you. To understand why, you have to know what the feed is actually watching. First, watch time. Not whether you watched, but how long before you left. Then the exact second you paused, and the exact second you didn't. Then re-watches. The clip you looped without realizing you looped it. Then the half abandons, the hovers, and how fast your thumb is moving. And then there are the things you never expressed at all. Topics you never searched, never clicked, never liked. Surfacing days, sometimes weeks, before anything in your life pointed that way. One person's feed turned to grief content before the loss they hadn't suffered yet. Another got pregnancy content while still certain they weren't and only worked it out because the feed already knew. A third watched their homepage predict a move to a city they'd never even mentioned. Every signal that should have come from you seemed to come from somewhere else. So which is it? There are really only 4 explanations. 1. It's pure coincidence, and your brain only remembers the hits. 2. The famous one. Your phone is secretly listening to you. 3. It's predicting you from the behavior of people who look like you. 4. And this is the strange one. It isn't predicting you at all. It's steering you. Each theory explained some of the cases. None of them explained all of them. To know which was even possible, I had to look at how feeds learned to do this. It started with a quiet idea called collaborative filtering. People who liked this also liked that. It never needed to understand the thing. It only needed to understand the crowd. Then it learned to group you into a cohort. People like you, before you knew you were one. And once it could model the cohort, it could see where that cohort was always heading next. And that's exactly where the human part of this gets loud. Because for years, people have been swapping the eerie stories. Whole threads convinced it's listening, with screenshots they swear are proof. And then the absurd overshoots, the feeds certain you're into cargo ships or private equity. One thread thought it had caught the algorithm listening, until the timestamps didn't line up. And then, buried in how these systems actually train, I found the thing that breaks it. The feed isn't guessing what you want. It's running experiments to find out what you'll become. Every odd recommendation you've ever gotten was a probe. A small test fired at you. You weren't being read, you were being run. Sit with that for a second, because it changes what creepy accuracy even means. When the feed nails you, you remember it forever. When it misses, you forget instantly. For every psychic hit, there were thousands of misses you never even noticed. The accuracy wasn't magic. It was survivorship. You only kept score of the wins. Which raised a worse question. If it's testing you, what is it testing for? And here the answer does something I didn't expect. It stops being about matching you. Each recommendation isn't chosen because it fits you now. It's chosen to change what you click next, and the click after that. You aren't being matched to a feed. You're being moved through one. And whoever tuned it to do that never had to say a single word about it. Go back through all of it now, and every clue reads differently. The absurd overshoots weren't errors. They were experiments that didn't take. The psychic hits weren't psychic. They were the experiments that did. The chickens, the new job, the move. You didn't drift into those. You were guided. The certainty that it just got you was never noise. It was the product working. And when you line up what the feed optimizes for, you can see exactly who it's serving. It isn't optimizing for the version of you watching right now. It's optimizing for a future you. One that's more predictable and more profitable. A version of you that's easier to forecast is a version of you that's easier to sell to. So the feed doesn't just guess where you're going. It picks the destination it prefers. And that intimate feeling, the "it just gets me," that's the engineered part. For years it felt like being understood. It was being shaped. So how did your feed know before you did? Here's the most honest answer the evidence allows. It doesn't know you. It has never known you. It knows where your pattern usually goes, in millions of people who came before you. And it nudges you, gently, toward the most predictable next version of you. That's why it overshoots. A nudge that misses just becomes a different experiment. But notice what we actually found instead. Your home page isn't a mood board of who you are. It's a mood board for a future you, assembled by a machine that prefers you boring. Everyone who swore the algorithm just gets them wasn't wrong. They were being met halfway and moved. The connection was real. The understanding was real. It just wasn't about you. And that's the uncomfortable part. This isn't a glitch, it's the design. We think of the home page as just entertainment. But it doesn't really reflect you. It rehearses you. And a future you, suggested with enough confidence, can quietly replace the one you'd have chosen. You have opened this feed 1,000 times. You have never once seen it as a mirror that wasn't yours. The feed doesn't just predict you. It negotiates who you'll be. The feed stopped being the mystery a long time ago. What it's quietly turning you into, while you scroll, that was the real story. So before you trust the next thing your feed is certain you want, ask who it's really for. There's a search bar with the exact same problem, the same quiet steering, a stranger ending. Tell me the niche your feed decided you're becoming, and tell me which artifact I should trace next. It doesn't know you. It knows where your pattern usually goes, and it nudges. If you made it to the end of this one, subscribe. I trace a new artifact every week, and the short version of this mystery is linked right here.